What's going on, people? I'm talking about rates again because I've had comments made when I did that video about not hauling cheap freight, and you know, not to go at anybody, but I'm going to explain why, for me, you can't justify hauling a cheap load. It just, for me, doesn't work. Not that I'm going to convince you of whatever reason you're using to haul those low paying loads, but that's on you. I'll give you my reason for it. So what I did is I'm going to base this off my numbers. Now, when I do my cost per mile, I base it off 1,500 miles a week. I just do. Because that's an achievable number even on a bad week where you have some downtime. It makes the number, your cost per mile, higher because you're basing it off a smaller number of miles. So it gives me, that's the number I'm shooting for. So what I did is my normal cost per mile with this truck, the trailer rental, paying myself a salary every week, which is a big chunk of this, is $1.74 a mile. Now, if I take off what I consider, maintenance and my truck payment and a trailer rental, I'm down to about $1.38 a mile. It's probably closer to $1.35, but we're going to go with $1.38. So if I take all that off and then I go, well, wait a minute, if I'm doing it this way and I'm saying that my truck and trailer's paid off, chances are I got no warranty, so I got to put maintenance money back in. So we'll lowball it, 15 cents a mile, 10 cents a mile for the truck, 5 cents a mile for the trailer. So now we're back to $1.53 a mile. My cost based on 1,500 miles. So what I did is I took 3 loads that come out of Florida. These are real loads off of a real app. And I took 3 more loads off that same app if I drove out of Florida and picked up a load there. So we can go over, how it pans out. So the first load I found was not a heavy ass load, which most of them are in Florida. It was only 15,400 pounds. It was going from Orlando to Grove City, about 945 miles. They were paying $1.31 a mile. And again, none of this is going to be negotiated rate. Chances are, coming out of Florida, they know they can find a driver that's going to do that because we have the mentality of we got to have something in the box when we're moving, even if we're losing money doing it. So anyway, it's $1.31 a mile is what they're offering. If you base my cost per mile off of what they're paying, I've lost 22 cents a mile, which cost me overall $207 and some change. To me, that's not a good business decision. Now, Sarasota, Florida, Pine Hill, Alabama. This one, a little heavier. It was about 38,000 pounds. This one was paying $1.30 a mile, which is a loss of 23 cents a mile, which was 589 miles, was how long the load was. $135 is what I lost. This is what I'm losing. Actually, this one was 42.5, not 38,000 pounds. So I lost $135 and my time messing with this load. Now, the third load coming out of Florida is Tampa, Florida to Roanoke, Virginia. This is the best load out of the 3. It's 589 miles. It was a positive on this load. I actually gained, I didn't lose a ton of money. I actually was able to come out with 25 cents a mile better. Way less than a company driver makes, but 20 cents a mile to the positive, or 25 cents a mile to the positive. So overall, I would have made $147 over my costs running this load. So again, that doesn't justify taking this load. Was the 38,000 pound load. This doesn't justify pulling hills, beating up my equipment just to be a plus of $147. So yeah, so let's go over this. Now, first off, I'm going to say we went to Lakeland, Florida, and we drove up to the Tifton, Georgia area, Albany, Georgia area. So I spent about $120 in fuel to make that move, which I was willing to do. And I'll show you why right now. Let's see. Columbus, Georgia to Chesapeake, Virginia. That was a load out of Georgia. So if I deadheaded up, I searched out of the area that I deadheaded to. This one was 28,000 pounds. Paying $233 a mile. This rate I could negotiate up. Guarantee you, it might not be what I want per se, but I could get better number out of it. So that means that on this load, it was a 95 cent per mile gain over my cost per mile, which means I made $662. If you take away the $120 in fuel, I'm now down to $542. So I still was well above on the positive side of this load. Albany, Georgia to New Orleans is a 421 mile run, 45,000 pound. It is heavy, but it was paying $3.26 a mile. So my gain over my cost per mile is $1.88, which means $7.91. Better than my cost per mile. This ain't the overall number that you're making. This is what it was better positive wise compared to hauling something for less than what my costs are. So above my costs, I made $7.91. And again, remember, I have salary that I pay myself included in my cost per mile. So this is profit above and beyond. So if you take off the $120 in fuel that I spent getting to Georgia, I'm still at $671. Social Circle, Georgia to Ellery, South Carolina. Just a short 201 mile run. My positive gain compared to my cost per mile, it's $2.66 a mile is what it's showing it's paying. That means I'm $1.28 better per mile compared to my costs, which means I would have actually been positive $257. Take away the 120, I'm still at 137 positive on a little short 200 mile run, which is 4 hours at best. So yeah, that more than covers my fuel getting out of Florida, and I didn't have to beat my equipment up and actually lose money making that run. Sometimes it does not make sense to run a load just to run a load, especially if you're going negative doing it. It just doesn't. Some people might disagree with that, and that's fine. That's on you. But every time I move this truck, I put wear on the tires, I put wear on the brakes, the fifth wheel, especially that heavy stuff that comes out of Florida. You know, you're working the engine harder, you're working the transmission harder. You just are. And you know, hauling empty, spending $120 in fuel to get out of a bad market to get to a good market, and it's, you know, I only drove 3.5 hours to do it. I've deadheaded farther than that when I worked at Schneider to pick up a load on a pretty regular basis. So don't be afraid to deadhead. Now again, Lakeland, Florida is not Miami, Florida, so deadheading out of there. But again, how much negative are you willing to take? Because the longer that run is, say, you know, you're at $1.30 a mile is what it's paying, and your costs are $1.53 a mile. Well, the longer you run out of Florida at that low rate, the more negative you're actually at. The more negative you've done to your business. And again, people say, well, at least it paid for fuel. Yeah, but you still wasted the day. When I could have just boom bammed out, picked up a better paying load, and just kept moving. And again, not beat up my equipment, not give some multi-million-dollar corporation, you know, a positive in their books because I was, you know, crazy enough to run that load for nothing. It's a net negative. It just is. It's a net negative. And, you know, I'm just not willing to do that. They don't give me a break. I've never had one of these large corporations we haul freight for go, oh, well, you know, we need to pay him more just because. Just because, you know, whatever. No, we all have to negotiate that money. And we don't always get what we you know, should have. But there's no company out there feeling sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for them. Why am I going to benefit them? They're making millions of dollars. And I'm going to haul out their load just because we've come to this conclusion in this industry that I need to haul cheap freight to get out of a bad area? No. No. Not going to work for me. I mean, this is the only industry where, if you think about it, you haul a load. Say you get a load going to Arizona, it's 1,500 miles. You're paying less. You're getting paid less per mile to haul that load just because it's 1,500 miles. It's a long run. You're putting in more time, more hours. You know, you're burning fuel like you always do. You're putting more wear and tear on your truck and your trailer, and you're going to run all the way out there for less money per mile because it's a long run, and we've been trained to think because it's a long run that we should take that money. I've been out west twice. Both those trips were just to get out of the mundane, but we didn't lose any money. If I couldn't have figured out a way to do it to where I had to actually lose my butt to get back, I wouldn't have went. I did not lose my butt to get back. I actually was on the good side of positive on all those loads that we did that with. Other than the one coming back because of the weather in Texas. It was during that ice, snow, crazy cold weather. That turned into a 3-day debacle because, you know, power was out for everybody. But that was Mother Nature. That didn't have anything to do with the actual load itself. So yeah. But if you think about it, you know, it'd be like walking into a business and going, you know, and them telling you, all right, well, I'm going to give you $20 an hour. But that's if you work 20 hours a week. Now, if you'll work 40 hours a week, I'm going to give you 10. What sense would that make? And who would take that job? Based on, you know, the argument for hauling cheap freight, I guess we have people that would be go, oh, okay, well, that sounds good to me. You know, because they're, you know, it just is what it is. But anyway, it's just crazy that we do what we do. Again, we can probably run this video for 3 hours talking about all the things related to it. People complain about going into California, but they still go. People complain about, you know, cheap loads going out west, but they still go. Those loads get booked. Somebody's hauling them. You know, there's a load right now going to Tempe, Arizona, paying $1.77 a mile. That's 3-cent profit over my cost per mile, and that's not going to happen. I mean, but there are people that will haul that because they're, you know, for some, it's just they're looking at the big number, the $2,777 that load shows it pays overall. But let's not take into account all the fuel we just burnt to do that, because it doesn't get any cheaper going that direction. So, yeah. But, you know, that's the way it's been done. Me talking about it's not going to change a lot of the attitudes toward it. One thing I can say is everybody's complaining about these laws and all these, you know, tax changes that are happening in certain states. Even Texas has talked about a cent per mile like Kentucky does, New Mexico does. Minneapolis just got rid of, you can't park a truck except, I guess, at truck stops now. There's no parking in Minneapolis on, say, a street you normally parked at next to a shipper or receiver. Can't do that anymore. It's a ticket. Connecticut with their, you know, hike and the BS from that governor about, you know, good, maybe truck drivers won't come here and tear up our roads, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I don't say we have to go on strike. I don't say you have to not go to work. But I think we should do a rolling boycott of certain states. You just don't go to a certain state for a while. And I guarantee you give them a couple of weeks of that, not even a couple of weeks, you give them a week of that, they'll be begging drivers to come back. they will be begging drivers to come back and get their stuff to them. When them shelves start going bare, the people in those states are going to start complaining. And that's how we get things done. We have all the power. We just refuse to use it because you can't get drivers to get, come together on anything for more than 2 seconds. But I'm just saying, don't not work. Just don't go there. And every week we should pick a different state. And trust me, once they get tired of those, the federal government gets tired of hearing those states complain that they can't get freight delivered because of their idiocy, then maybe the federal government will start making some changes for the better for us. I'm just saying, rolling boycotts of states. Avoid them. Don't even drive through them if you can avoid it at all costs. But definitely don't deliver anything to them. If New York is the problem, New York State, but yet you got to roll through New York to get to, Maine or Vermont or New Hampshire or something. Roll through the state. Just don't pick any loads going there. And trust me, it will not take them long to change their minds because we're not their piggy bank and we need to teach them that. And hopefully one day, it'll probably be, autonomous trucks will be on the road then, taking all the freight. But maybe one day drivers will finally have enough of enough and start trying to do something about it. I think a nationwide strike is never going to happen because, part of the prevalent problem in this industry is I don't care about anybody but myself. We don't have the unity we used to. Whether it was actually always there or just a fond memory that never existed, I don't know. I didn't drive back then. But as long as we sit idle and let them do it, they're going to do it. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep picking their pocket. So hopefully that'll change one day. But anyway, that's my video. That's my explanation of why I don't haul cheap freight. As always, I appreciate you guys taking time. Be safe, and we'll talk to you.